Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's my opponent to go first. I have got 2 S's, but I've only got 1 vowel. I don't have a 7-letter bingo. It's possible that I would have an 8-letter bingo through a vowel. I note that I've got the G and the N for an ing ending word, so I'm wondering if I do have anything through an I, but I can't see anything, unless thigness is good. I do have the ness ending. Thigness. That would be a difficult position or difficult choice to have to make because I'm not sure of it, but it may be good. So I have the other vowels. Well, stengars, yes, through an A the stengars, and there is an A, great. Okay, and there is the I as well, so I don't have to worry about thickness. I can go straight in with stengars. Now, do I have strengths through the R? No, that would require an additional T. And is there anything through the Y? No, not that I can see. Okay, great. There may be an anagram of stengars, but it hasn't come to mind. And it's unlikely to be significantly different in terms of optimality. So stengars 66. And this isn't a great rack, but it is a rack I can deal with. I have too many vowels, so there's no bingo with this rack. And it's going to be difficult to score well, but I should be able to sort it out. Aruhe is good, A-R-U-H-E, leaving O-E. So I could play that in a number of spots. The H is my scoring tile, so that could go underneath the E of stengars. I could play our, H-O-U-R, leaving A-double-E. Not great, but not a disaster either. And out here is good in column 4. And author, also in column 4. I expect my opponent to play around the front end of stengars because that's where most of the opportunities are. Now, my opponent has opened up the triple word square at H1, but I need to go through a vowel to benefit from it, and I'm trying to get rid of vowels. So I can't see a good play that goes through that. I'm wondering if I can put my H at H4, but then I'm looking for a word which ends in an H, and I certainly don't have one which begins at D4 to get doubles. So, tricky situation. Well, I could play our at K10 across, but it would be nice to play off one more vowel. Rehouse is good. That certainly sorts the rack out, leaving just an A, but the score is pretty dismal. That plays in column 10. 12 points. Whereas our and sh scores 19, so 7 more points. So is a rack leave of A 7 points better than a rack leave of A-double-E? Pretty tricky because the E is a good tile, but having 2 of them and having only vowels is not so great. So is there a play that's better than either of those 2 options? Ah, well, there is actually, this is nice. A ruhe across here. Because it's going to score a reasonable amount. It's going to sort the rack out. Leaving 2 vowels rather than 3 is a big improvement. No duplicate vowels in the rack leave, and an E, which is good. 20 points is good. And it obstructs H1. It doesn't preclude my opponent from playing at H1, but it stops him playing from H1 and placing a high-scoring tile at H4, or certainly restricts his opportunities of doing so. I am providing vowels next to premium squares at F2 and F6, but there are 2 of them, so that's not as bad as just making 1 available. And with my 2 vowels I drew 4 more, which is always a risk when you have a vowel only leave. Fortunately I do have 1 scoring tile in the P, and my opponent changes. He only changes 2 tiles, so he may be close to a bingo. Now, should I be changing? I'm reluctant to change because I can place my P at F6, so I could play Poa in that spot for over 20 points, keeping 4 vowels. And if I draw 3 consonants, I may avoid changing. Now, can I do better than that? The P is one of the few high-scoring tiles which can place at H4, but unfortunately I can't or don't have a play which begins at H1. Payee is good in row L. That leaves the duplicate O and it doesn't score very much. So is Poa at F6 the best? I'm wondering if I have anything beginning with the R of diary. Well, Roop is probably good, but the rack leave of double A, double E is not. Okay, it would be nice to play off 1 more vowel. Keeping 4 is really not good at all, because I've only got to draw 1 to have a problem rack. But I'd rather keep scoring and change next go. Or would I? Because I'm noticing that in row E, by playing Poa, I'm actually opening up a 4 timer. Playable from E5 across to E11, hitting 2 double word squares. This is probably close, but I am going to go with the score. Wow, I actually do draw 3 consonants. That is fortunate. And through an R I would have renovate, and the R's on the board at the moment do not allow me to play that. Over neat is the anagram of renovate. That doesn't play either. Now, do I have anything through the S, the second S of Stengars? This isn't a great rack, so I'm not expecting there to be a whole raft of 8-letter bingos. I can't see anything through the S. And I don't think there are any other consonant floaters to consider. So, what do I do with this rack? Well, I'd certainly like to play off the V and improve the rack, the vowel consonant balance. Yeah, okay, my opponent was close to a bingo. He doesn't get a double-double, which is good. He's provided no floaters, which is a shame. Now, what I could do is play VOE, V-O-E, at D1. That does take an E in front. My opponent may not know that. I certainly can't assume he doesn't know it, and that will be a hotspot. I do, however, I will, however, be retaining an E on my rack. So I'm wondering if I can place my V at D1. Well, I can play vote or veto. Let's have a look at this. It is keeping a slight vowel preponderance, but AE is the best pair of vowels to keep. 28 points. That is going to be better than playing though. Yeah, I think that's fine. Now, this looks promising. Do I have a 7? Do I have an 8? And if I don't, I have no high-scoring tiles, or they're all one-pointers. Okay, I note that I do have naive at A1 down, so if I don't have a bingo, I do have a play. Now, this is going to be really high probability, so I certainly don't want to miss a bingo if there is one here. And there is the S of Stengars. So Staniel plus an N. Okay, nothing is coming to mind. And that is pretty much the only floater worth considering. Well, is the A of my opponent's last move, or do I have a move coming down from H1? Again, this is going to be pretty high probability despite having duplicate A and duplicate N, if there is a word there. Well, I'm not seeing it. I'm mindful of the time. There are still 50 tiles in the bag. So I think I will play naive. And having had a preponderance of vowels, I now have none at all. So I'm looking to draw some 24 points. That's not a great score at all. Can I do better than that? Well, I don't think I can do better than that through the V. Can I play elsewhere? I could play Lent at D8. 19 points. That's 5 fewer points. But the rack leave is much nicer. IN. Trouble with keeping LNT is that if you draw another L, N or T, you've got a real problem rack with low scoring tiles, and it can be difficult to resolve. IN is quite a flexible rack leave. I'm not going to get in trouble with it. But is Lent the best I can do? Well, what about rain at K8? 15 points. That would keep Lant. Not a great rack leave. Okay, there may be something better here, but I'm reasonably happy that Lent is amongst the best moves. Not great. The F is duplicated, which is actually a good thing. It's one of the few tiles which is fine to have duplicated because it's so easy to play off both Fs together. So I have NIF as a 4-letter word. Not sure if that plays anywhere. The V's been taken out by my opponent. I have affine as a 6-letter word. So where can I play these Fs? They're not bingo-y tiles, so I am looking to get rid of both of them if possible, and I can see a great place right across here. 33 points, that's a great score. Just checking to make sure I haven't got something even better. Well, I think if there is a better or a higher scoring move, it's likely to retain an F, and I'd like to play them off. I'm keeping 3 vowels, which is not good, but 33 points is a good score. And with a floating S, N and T, my vowel leave is improved. Great. I kept a whole bunch of vowels, and I pick up high-scoring tiles which go well with vowels. Certainly don't have a bingo, but I'm 30 points ahead, and I've got really good scoring tiles in the Z and the X. But is there anywhere to play them, or to play them to good effect? I can play Wex or Zex at B5. That's not bad. Zex is particularly good because it opens up nothing for my opponent in row A. The Z and XI take no tiles in front of them. Great, both of those remain available. Let's just see what Zex scores. I've only got 8.5 minutes and there's 36 tiles left, so I must be sure not to run out of time. Zex is 34 points. I'm tempted to play Wex because the Z is such a good scoring tile. That's only 28. Am I missing an obvious great place? I'm looking in row H across the top of ill to see if I can reach the triple word square at H15. Can't see a way of doing that. Okay, I think I will go with Wex. There aren't many great spots on this board for my high-scoring tiles. This looks pretty balanced rack. No duplicate tiles, 4 consonants, 3 vowels, and I've got the B and the Z for score. So if I could play biz somewhere, I would have rate as a rack leave, which is pretty good. I'm looking to see if I do have a play above ill, reaching the triple word score and using the Z. Can't see one. It would need to begin with A. I've got zebra and zeriba. Ah, zebra plays at A1. Great. I'm just wondering if I have a play which places the Z at A4. A play which ended ZA or ZA something. I think Bryce is good, but that ends ZE. Okay, I can't see a word which places the Z there, but if it stays available, I'd certainly be looking to play zebra in that spot. Now, hopefully, the H15 square may lure my opponent. If it doesn't, and he takes my zebra spot, what can I do? I certainly do want to play off the Z on this go because I have the potential for having a bingo-y rack leave. I can play blitz at H12, and that's good because it takes out H15 for my opponent. So if my opponent takes out A1, I take out H15 and I score. Great, he hasn't taken it out. Fabulous. Zebra, 56 points. That's a big score, and it's a good rack leave as well. Now, I am always looking for bingos, but if you look at the board, there are very few bingo lanes. There's H1 coming down from the A of or, and there's the floating L of ill, and that's pretty much it, apart from hooking an L or a Y onto the end of ill. So I don't have a bingo through the A or the L, I don't think. I am about 90 points ahead. There are only 7.5 minutes on the clock and there are 25 tiles unseen. This is a really dangerous situation because it's a tight board, so it would be easy to spend a long time looking for moves and run out of time. Now, I'm pretty much playing this as I'm seeing it, but I just know that this is a reasonably good move. 33 points and a good rack leave. Okay, not so great. Don't have anything through the A of or the L of ill. And this board is super tight. There are just so few opportunities for anything. Now, I do have a play down from B11, which uses my C, U and T, and that would leave a rack leave of trip. But do I have a better play? I'm looking in particular at H12. I can put my C or my P in front of the second L of ill. So I could play clipped, keeping R-U-T. That's not bad. There's only one U unseen, so I'm not going to be swamped with U's. It would also be taking out 2 bingo lanes for my opponent. And strangling this game to death is probably quite a useful tactic. I note that my opponent's play of Gub has opened up row M for a bingo ending in S. So I need to be aware of that. There are 2 S's and a blank unseen. And if my opponent does bingo, he could be right back in this game. However, if he does bingo and gets 70 or 80 points, he'll still be 40 behind, so it may still be fine to close down the board with a play like clipped. I've also got culprit through that L. And that does open up row N for a word ending in S, but if my opponent takes that row, he'll be opening up row O. And with 2 S's and a blank unseen, playing culprit providing 2 S spots might be a good move, because I would have a reasonable chance with drawing 6 tiles of drawing an S or blank, and can then use one of those 2 spots. Culprit 24 points. Clipped 24 points. Well, I need to assess which of those is best. Okay, my opponent opens up row A through the G. It's not particularly dangerous. I like the idea of playing a lot of tiles to increase my chances of drawing a P. Drawing an S or a blank. And 1 bingo is not going to damage me. Great, I draw both S's. The blank's still out there, so my opponent can use that as an S to pluralise Gub or culprit. Out C's is good. Great, I have, well, at the moment I have a playable bingo in rows M and N. The row M spot is my preference because it doesn't open up row O. Do I have anything through... yes, outguess. No, sorry, that doesn't go. I've only got 1 U. Okay, I thought I had a 9 timer beginning at A8. I don't. Yeah, I can't see anything through that G. Now my opponent... what's he done? Mig at L11. Okay, great. He's opened up a new bingo lane in column 14. But I like out C's across here because it's the least dangerous of the 3 places I can play this, and it also opens up a really nice scoring spot at L1 down to the triple. And that's more useful to me than my opponent, because my opponent needs bingos to win. So he may leave that alone. And if he bingos elsewhere, it's a good spot for me to keep scoring. And I note that the J has not yet been played. And I draw it. Great, so I can place my J at L1 for a word beginning JO. Do I have one? Surely I do with this rack. This looks super promising. Wow. Okay, maybe I don't. I've got 5.5 minutes. There's only 1 tile in the bag. My opponent has got a hugely bingo-y rack. But Icy has obstructed his ability to take advantage of the MIG plural. Now I'm 200 points ahead. The tiles that are left are not bingo-y, so if I scored, it's therefore not a priority to prevent my opponent from having a 9 timer in row A, because any such 9 timer would not win provided I scored well. So it makes more sense to try and score well with my J rather than blocking that. And L1 is the spot I'm drawn to. I could play Joe and OU. Just don't want to miss a J play which comes down onto the triple word square. Okay, my opponent's lost contact or quit momentarily, hopefully, so I will continue to look for a good spot and see if he rejoins. Maybe he's become a bit disheartened. Yeah, maybe I should have played a bit faster. So I think if he returns, I'll play Joe and Joe. I could play JOE at the same spot for a slightly bigger score. Okay, what I will do now is pause the video until he returns. Welcome back. My opponent didn't return. The game has been adjudicated in my favour, so the final score 215 to my opponent, 402 to me. Just before the review, I should just mention that if my opponent had returned, I would have played Gadjo at A11. It would have scored over 40 points. This is GADJO, scored over 40 points and taken out the 9 timer possibility. Anyway, let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first, and I had Stengars, and that was the only bingo. This is where I had vowel problems, and I could have played re here. I didn't see that in row K, placing my H under the S. 28 points, keeping OU slightly better than Aruhe for 20. My vowel problems continued, and it looks like short words with the P are being considered here. It may well be that a change was better. Difficult to assess. Great, no missed bingos here. I could have played thieve parallel to diary. That would have opened up row O because it would have stopped one short of row O. So veto is a better play. Veto or vote. Ooh, painful. There was a bingo at H8, dentinal, and I'm saying R in particular because I did not consider that D as a floater. Sometimes that just happens. You overlook letters in wide open view, and this is one of them. If I had seen the D, I can't be sure that I would have spotted dentinal, but it's certainly a word that I've studied. And all the other moves are pretty low scoring, like the one I played. Fife at C7, didn't think of that. That would have played off both Fs and scored slightly more than Nif. And I note also that I could have played if and only if and retained the N on my rack for a slightly better rack leave. Wheeze at B2. Okay, I didn't play that. What did I play? I played Wex for 28. Okay. Difficult to say there because Wheeze would certainly have opened up row A, so there probably isn't a huge amount between these moves. But my move certainly may be suboptimal. Whoops. So, great. Zebra looks like it was the best. And Ami at B1, I played this quite quickly because I felt I was short on time, but it looks a reasonable move. This is where I played Culprit for 24, and yeah, clipped immediately above it is the other move I considered. The move I didn't consider was gripped using the G of Grant. But I don't think there's very much between those moves. And I think I was quite fortunate to pick a bingo here, given my rack leave. And out C's was the only playable bingo. And this is where my opponent disappeared. Yeah, Gadji or Gadjo at A11. Gadjo was the move I was considering playing. So the game didn't play out to a conclusion, unfortunately, but that's one of the risks of playing online when you're a long way ahead. Sometimes your opponent can be discouraged or may have left for any number of reasons. But I think the moves that were played were still of value, so I hope that you enjoyed watching that. My name is David Webb. This has been a video for Dweebovision.